Hello, CY. Today I'll be taking you through the walkthrough form that your administrators, evaluators will use in the short visits that we make into your classroom so that we are maximizing our time. We find that we spend a lot of time in classrooms, and why not use that time wisely by, um, you know, making some comments and providing feedback and seeing if we can catch some trends that we see in class. So we have this walkthrough form. Many of you that were here last year have seen this before, but I'm just going to kind of quickly walk you through. So um, it's designed to be on the iPad and a Google form that you will never see the actual form piece of it other than here. But Amy, Brent, and myself can use it while we are in your classroom. So it looks very much like this. We select our observers, we select the teacher, your email, we pick your grade level or if you're an elective, the date we're there, the start time. These are the things straight out of the observation tool that Amy describes in her video. We're looking at, is the objective or the focus of your lesson easily observable in the small amount of time that we're in there? Sometimes it's absolutely there. We see it on the board, we see you reference it, we hear you talk about it. Sometimes we can just tell, or we can ask a kid and they can tell us exactly what's going on. Other times it's a little difficult for us to see, or we just missed it. Many of you who use slideshows to present, if we're not there right at the beginning, we actually miss those more often than not. So we have a little mark for that. Engagement, we're just looking for, do the students seem to be on task and attentive during the activity? And then depending on what the activity is, lucky science teachers, if you're doing something cool, blowing something up, we can tell not only are they on task and not only are they attentive, but they're enthusiastic about what you're doing. We look at, what is the teacher doing? So are we up in front lecturing to the whole class, or are we breaking it down into small groups? Are we modeling, facilitating, or are we working on some of those administrative tasks? So we try to mark those. We have an area to mark our comments just for us to see. And then we look at, what is the student actually being asked to do, or how are they working in pairs, in groups, by themselves, with a teacher. And then really this is kind of our hope and goal, is that we see this one kind of start to change a little bit. So what kinds of things are we asking kids to do? What level of thinking are we asking them to go to, or depth of knowledge are we trying to get at them with on every one of these lessons that we get to view? Our MTSS strategies that we're looking at. So we just click those if we see it. And then we look at, what are the effective teaching strategies that we know allow kids to remain engaged and be attentive in your class. So these are on there. And so if we see those, we will send those back to you, along with some information about your strategy that you chose and just overall feedback about the classroom. So I've done one for myself here based off of a lesson that I know Mr. Stark and Mr. Seibert still kind of work on. It's either the Simpsons or SpongeBob science inquiry or scientific method questions. So this is me evaluating me, so it's glowing, just so you all know. So it says right here, I was in there for about 15 minutes. That's a little long compared to what we would normally use the walkthrough form, but I'm just clicking. The objective was visible. Most of the students were on task. I was using a bunch of different ways of working with the class. Students were working in pairs and small groups. They had to use all the different levels of thinking throughout this assignment while we were working. So depending on how far a group was, me as the evaluator got to see all of those. These are all the proactive strategies that were being used, effective teaching strategies, and then just some feedback provided from me to the teacher at the time. So from me to me, which is kind of nice. Anyway, these tools will allow us to, like I said before, use our time wisely. We can also provide feedback and help us grow instructionally in the building, as well as see some building-wide trends. Another nice thing about them is, if we can group 3 or 4 of them together in 10-minute increments, we can actually use that as an evaluation or an observation and have a observation conference about them. So that is our CY walkthrough.